Incredible moment, millionaire's life-changing gesture after poor girl denied entry at five-star restaurant. Mia stood outside the glitzy five-star restaurant, the sounds of laughter and clinking glasses rising like an intoxicating swell. Her heart beat fast, a mix of hope and nerves twisting in her stomach. At 24, she felt like a ghost in this world of glittering chandeliers and opulent decor, her plain work clothes a stark contrast to the lavish gowns and tailored suits that surrounded her. As she clutched the invitation, her thoughts drifted back home to her mother who was battling health issues and a young brother who looked up to her, depending on her strength. She took a deep breath, stepping up to the door. This was her chance, but then it happened. The doorman's dismissive glance, the snickers of guests as they brushed past her. "Can you believe that?" one woman sneered, her voice dripping with contempt. Mia's heart sank. She felt like a shadow, unnoticed and unwanted. The invitation now felt like a cruel joke, a reminder that she would always be seen as less. She retreated to a nearby bench, the weight of the world pressing down on her shoulders. Tears prickled her eyes. She ached for her family, for a break, for a moment when she wouldn't have to fight so hard just to be recognized. "Why can't they see me?" she whispered to herself, her heart a fragile thing, fluttering on the brink of despair. Inside, David, the wealthy philanthropist, glanced outside, momentarily captivated by the sight. He'd been raised in luxury but was guided by a strong moral compass, instilled by his late grandfather, a humble veteran. Seeing the stark reality of the woman outside, the contrast of his world and hers stirred something deep inside him. As the laughter swelled around him, it all felt wrong. How could they celebrate while someone was out there feeling invisible? He stepped outside, a man torn between his comfortable life and the stark injustice unfolding before him. Mia looked up as he approached, and in that moment, he asked, "Would you like to come to dinner at my home? You can cook, and I'd love to hear your story." His words hung in the air, a lifeline thrown into the sea of indifference. For the first time that night, Mia felt a flicker of hope. Strangers could care. As they bonded over their shared passion for food, they discovered more than just culinary interests. They found a common humanity. David's perspective began to shift, and he started questioning his privilege, the injustice baked into his life that he had never truly seen before. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. However, as word spread of David's gesture, backlash loomed in his elite circles. Questions of his values, judgments of association with someone deemed less, weighed heavily on him. Would he be ostracized? As Mia prepared for a local community event to showcase her culinary skills, the stakes rose. Tension filled the air. She feared not just for her future but for how David's kind act would affect him. As the community gathered, the scent of her cooking wafted through the air, mingling with the expectation and judgment of the onlookers. Would she succeed in claiming her place? Her heart raced with uncertainty, the night poised on the edge of transformation. Could true connection breach the divide of wealth and worth? As the evening unfolded, overwhelming emotions surged, threatening to break through the fragile boundaries of their worlds. Mia stood nervously behind a table, adorned with her best culinary creations, vibrant salads, rich pastas, and delicate pastries that spoke of her heart and soul. She watched as people milled about the community center, their chatter filled with excitement, gossip, and a range of opinions about her presence. Why is he doing this? She overheard someone whisper, their tone thick with judgment. David stood just a few feet away, feeling like a fish out of water in the midst of crowds he thought he understood. Yet today, he felt an unfamiliar swirl of emotions: defiance, excitement, and an undercurrent of fear. What if they reject her? He thought, his stomach knots tightening at the idea. He wanted to shield Mia from harsh words and sidelong glances, yet he knew she had to face this moment. As the evening progressed, Mia caught snippets of conversations. Some praised her dishes while others wondered why a girl like her was even invited. Each compliment fed her spirit, while every judgment gnawed at her confidence. She could feel the weight of their stares, the looks that dismissed her as merely a novelty. It twisted in her stomach, threatening to steal the joy of her hard work, but then, she saw him, a little boy, no more than 8, scooping a forkful of her spaghetti. His eyes lit up, and a grin spread across his face. "This is the best food ever," he exclaimed. Mia's heart swelled. He wasn't judging her, he was savoring the love she poured into her cooking. It was a small light in the dark, a reminder that beauty and connection could spring from unlikely sources. David caught the moment and grinned, feeling pride swell in his chest. In that simplicity, the complexities of wealth and status seemed invisible. It was about sharing a meal, a story, and a piece of one's heart. He moved closer to Mia, who was still watching the boy, her emotions a tempest. "You see that?" he said softly, gesturing toward the child. "You're making an impact." Just as she began to feel warmth spread through her, a commotion broke out at the edge of the room. A group of her critics had gathered, led by a woman in a pristine suit. With a challenging look, she said loudly, "I can't believe we're allowing strangers into our community events. What has this world come to? People without connections, without status." The words were harsh and cut through the atmosphere like a knife. Mia's heart sank again. Would this moment, this hard-won chance to rise above her old life, be taken from her? She felt like all eyes were on her, waiting for her to crumble under the pressure. David stepped between the crowd and Mia, the air thick with an electric charge. "What matters more? Connections or compassion?" he replied, his voice firm and unwavering. Gasps echoed through the room. Some nodded, others frowned. Mia felt a rush of gratitude. David was fighting for her, standing tall against a wave of disdain. The tension hung heavy, a battleground of ideals clashing in the silence. Heart pounding, Mia knew she had to respond not just for herself, but for David, the boy, and everyone who had felt voiceless. She took a deep breath, stepped forward, and began to speak. What came next could change everything. Would Mia find the courage to stand up for herself amidst the storm? Would she claim her place in this community? Whatever happened, she knew this was a pivotal moment, a chance to break the chains of doubt that had bound her for so long. And the crowd was hushed, waiting for her voice, a moment filled with raw potential and anticipation. Would they embrace her, or would she face their rejection? With everything on the line, the moment of truth had arrived. Mia's throat felt dry, her heart pounding like a drum in her ears. The eyes of everyone in the room bore down on her, like spotlights demanding she shine. David stood just behind her, an unspoken promise of support humming between them. For a heartbeat, she hesitated, the weight of their expectations pressing against her. Then, she remembered the boy's joyful smile and the warmth it ignited inside her. She opened her mouth. "I grew up feeling like I never belonged anywhere," she began, her voice shaking but steadying with each word. "I was always told my dreams were too big, too foolish. But cooking became my refuge. Each dish I made carries a piece of me, each flavor a story waiting to be shared, not just with you, but with anyone who picks up a fork." A hush fell over the crowd, the earlier energy fading like smoke in the air. Mia continued, her hands gripping the edge of the table, grounding her. "I may not be part of your connections world, but I know how to feed the soul. Isn't that what really matters? Sharing joy." A flicker of realization crossed the faces before her. She could see a shift, a tentative reconsideration sparking in the crowd. Energized by their reaction, she pressed on, summoning all the courage she had within. "Every dish I've prepared is made with care and passion. I want to be part of this community, not just as a cook, but as someone who believes in connection and compassion." David watched, pride swelling in his chest. Her vulnerability stirred something in him, deepening that bond they shared. The whispers around them faded, replaced by only Mia's voice, growing stronger with each word. "But being here tonight reminds me of how easily we can forget one another," Mia said, her eyes scanning the crowd, looking for understanding. "We can easily fall into the trap of judging based on appearances or connections. I don't want that. I want us to reach out, to embrace the diversity of our experiences, breaking down the barriers that divide us." Mia took a breath, pushing back the tears threatening to spill. The room felt electric as she finished. "I will give you my best, if you'll accept me. But know that I want to take part in your lives, not as an outsider but as a friend." Silence blanketed the room. For a moment, Mia feared she had pushed too far, even as hope flickered within her. Then, one lone clap echoed through the hall. David turned toward the sound, his heart racing as he saw the little boy from earlier. He watched in amazement as the child stood on a chair, his palms together, enthusiasm radiating from him. "Bravo, Miss Mia. We like you." He cheered, his small voice broke the tension, laughter bubbling among the crowd, a ripple of connection replacing the heaviness that had filled the air moments before. More claps began to join in, hesitant at first, then gaining in strength. Mia's heart beat wildly. She felt like she was floating. The detractors were still present, but their faces were less severe. Then came the moment she hadn't dared to hope for. A woman piped up from the side, her voice trembling yet strong, "You're right, Mia. We forget sometimes that we all have a place. I'd like to know more about your cooking. Let's do something together." Mia's heart soared as cheers erupted, their warmth pushing back the chill of doubt. They were embracing her, willing to bridge the divide she feared was insurmountable, but just when Mia allowed herself to revel in the triumph, she caught sight of the woman from earlier, her expression unreadable. It was like darkness lurking behind a dawn. She knew the fight was not over yet. Would this acceptance hold? Could Mia and David inspire real change, or would the challenges from the past shadow their future? As Mia stepped back, the applause wrapping around her like a warm blanket, she realized they were standing on the brink of something transformative, a change that could echo beyond just this moment, and in that realization, a new wave of uncertainty washed over Mia. What would happen when they stepped outside this grateful space and back into the world of judgments and divisions? Would they find their way together, or would the shadows of doubt threaten everything once more? As Mia soaked in the applause, a surge of warmth flooded her heart, but it was quickly tempered by the reminder of the woman's piercing gaze. There was a mixture of gratitude and apprehension in her heart. They accepted her, but she knew acceptance was just the beginning of a long road ahead. "Can you believe it?" David whispered, his voice filled with disbelief and joy. "I can," Mia replied, forcing a smile. Yet, she couldn't shake the tightening in her chest. The crowd began to settle, but she could see the woman still watching, a storm brewing behind her composed facade. It made Mia's stomach twist. She had faced rejection all her life, and now that acceptance was finally blossoming, what if it all unraveled because of one person's unyielding stance? "Let us go talk to her," David suggested, nodding in the woman's direction. Mia swallowed hard. What if she says something that ruins everything? David shook his head vigorously. "No. We can't turn away now. You've put your heart out there, and it's your moment. We need to face it head-on, together." She looked back toward the crowd. Some faces beamed with welcome, while others held uncertainty. The boy stood proudly on his chair, waving at her with sheer delight. That overwhelming happiness reminded her why she wanted to be here. Mia took a deep breath as they approached the woman, her heart racing. "Hello," she said softly, the smile faltering on her lips. The woman didn't immediately reply, her gaze lingering on Mia's face as if searching for something. You spoke well tonight," she finally said, her tone cautious. "Thank you," Mia said genuinely. "I just want to be part of this community." "Part of it?" The woman tilted her head, skepticism flickering across her features. "You mean sharing meals? Is that truly how you think you can connect with this world?" Mia felt a jolt. I believe that food brings people together. It's a way to share stories and cultures. Isn't that what we all want? To find common ground. David stepped beside her, an arm of solidarity resting on her shoulder. Everyone deserves to feel that they belong somewhere. You know that as well as anyone, don't you? The woman's expression softened, but she quickly masked it behind a tight smile. Belonging can sometimes come at a cost. Do you understand that? Mia was taken aback, feeling the weight of the unspoken rules that dictated this world of monetary connections. I just want to share to bring joy through cooking. I'm not looking for anything but connection, she insisted, her voice firm yet vulnerable. The other attendees had started to move about the room again, murmuring amongst themselves. A woman in a chic red dress approached, her carefree demeanor an odd contrast to the tension lingering with Mia and the woman in front of her. I heard what you said, Mia. I'd love to have you help with our charity event next month. We could use a creative twist. Mia felt a glimmer of hope, but the woman's grip on the moment remained tight. You must understand, not everyone is as open-hearted as you, she warned. Sometimes, charity isn't enough. People only admire what they can see, the titles, the prestige. It's an unspoken reality. Mia trembled slightly, remembering her own past, the fight she waged against such judgments. But it starts with us, right here, right now. She urged, her voice rising slightly. If we can elevate cooking to something that unites rather than divides, we can change the narrative, can't we? Silence wrapped around them, the laughter and chatter of the crowd fading into a distant hum. Every longing for connection lay hanging in the air, and Mia's words seemed to cling to the edges of destiny itself, waiting for a response. Would the woman see the truth in Mia's conviction? Or would the barriers that held them apart become insurmountable once again? David squeezed her shoulder gently, encouragingly, underlining the belief they had in the possibility of change. And then, from deep within the crowd, came a voice that would shift the trajectory of Mia's life in surprising ways. The voice broke through the thick silence like a clap of thunder. Wait! It came from a tall man with a warm smile, wearing a tailored suit that seemed to shimmer in the dim light of the venue. He stepped forward with an air of confidence that immediately drew attention away from Mia and the woman. What you just shared, Mia, is powerful, he continued, his eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. Food is indeed an incredible bridge among us. I've built my own success on the richness of sharing cultures through culinary experiences. Mia's breath hitched, surprise flooding her senses. She glanced at David, whose eyes widened in disbelief. Was this man really here to support her? I believe we need more people like you who want to foster connections beyond mere charity, the man explained, nodding at the skeptical woman. We need innovative ideas for meaningful interaction. Imagine pairing mentorship with meals, cultural exchanges. Why not raise awareness while enjoying the flavors of different stories? The woman's expression shifted, her guard faltering as she considered his words. Perhaps the spark of interest was what Mia needed to break through. That's exactly what I mean. Mia said, her voice fueled by a mix of hope and urgency. Cooking is a language of its own. It tells stories, inspires understanding, and promotes unity. If we focus on that, we can redefine how we connect. As the crowd began to buzz again, curiosity piqued. People whispered among themselves, glancing between Mia and the man, who would soon be more than just another voice in the crowd. David's thumb rubbed against Mia's shoulder in an encouraging rhythm. This is it, he said, almost triumphantly, eyes sparkling with belief. You're touching hearts right now. Suddenly, the tall man's gaze fell on the woman in front of Mia. And you, he said, what do you think? Don't you feel the need for a new approach, one that isn't solely transactional? This could be a chance for real change. Mia felt her heart flutter. The woman, who had been so resistant moments ago, now seemed to struggle with her expression, caught in the crossfire of expectation versus reality. For a moment, silence reigned again, but it was the calm before a storm of decisions. The tension was palpable, thick enough to cut through. The woman finally uncrossed her arms, looking at Mia, then back at the MC. Maybe there is merit in including fresh ideas, she conceded, the hint of uncertainty allowing a new narrative to unfold. But Mia held her breath. The but hung heavily in the air, threatening to unravel the optimism bubbling forth. What happens when the novelty wears off? When the faces change, and your initiative doesn't? Mia wanted to scream, to say it wouldn't happen if they continued to embrace this rhythm of connection and transformation. It's about sustaining the relationships, she pleaded softly. It's about community. The man nodded emphatically, standing tall beside Mia. Exactly. It's about warmth, inclusivity. Making this community a thriving hub of diverse stories and shared plates. The woman looked between the two of them, contemplating their passion, but Mia could see the skepticism in her eyes. Would it disappear entirely, or would affirmations turn to doubt once again? The crowd pulsed, alive with excitement, tantalized by discussions igniting across the venue. Mia felt something shift within herself too, as if with every word, she was reclaiming a part of her that had been lost in fear. Let us find a way, Mia pressed, stepping forward. Together. I'm ready if you are. As the murmurs grew louder, weaving together ideas and dreams, Mia stayed locked in the woman's gaze. What would it take to convince her? Suddenly, another voice broke in from behind the crowd, more authoritative and commanding. If you want to transform this city through food, then we need visionaries and funding. Let us talk. Mia felt a rush of emotions collide in her chest. Was she teetering on the edge of the opportunity she had long yearned for? Would they open the door to possibilities, a door she never dared to hope for? The woman's eyes glinted with sudden resolve. All right then, let us see where this goes. But as excitement surged, another unpredictable voice from the back called out, shattering the moment. And what if you fail? Mia's heart sank. The stakes were high, but would fear keep them from taking the leap? With everything she had on the line, the question lingered, heavy and lingering, hanging in the air like a fragile promise waiting to be broken. Mia felt the weight of the moment pressing down, her heart pounding in her chest. The sudden skepticism from the back sent a chill through the crowd, every eye turning toward her as if waiting for an answer. She took a deep breath, grounding herself. This was her moment to shine, to rally everyone together. Failure is part of the journey, she said, her voice steady despite the tremor of anxiety underneath. But it can also be a teacher. Each step we take can show us where we need to grow, how we can adapt. Every meal shared will bring us closer, stitch the fabric of our community tighter. The woman, still weighing her options, frowned at the question that lingered. Mia scooted a bit closer, willing to connect beyond mere words. What if we began with something small? Let us host a community dinner. Just to start and see what happens. Transforming neighborhoods one meal at a time, one connection at a time. A few heads nodded among the crowd. The air buzzed with a mix of skepticism and intrigue. David leaned in closer, whispering, "You are leading them, Mia. Keep going." Then, the tall man joined in. Mia has a point. You can't measure change overnight. It's about nurturing relationships and allowing them to grow. He turned to the crowd. Together, we can weave a story that capitalizes on our differences, creating a richer tapestry. This isn't just a project, it's a movement. The woman shifted her weight, visibly torn. What if it's the same people showing up? What if this turns into a cycle of the same narratives playing again and again? Mia saw the glimmer of reluctance in her eyes and pressed on, pouring her heart into each word. Then let those voices lead others. It's all about encouragement and inclusion. We can invite more people into the fold, share different narratives, and even teach each other something new through every meal. A flicker of interest crossed the woman's face. Was this the shift they needed? Would she finally take a chance on Mia's idea? But just as hope began to stir, doubt crept back in, like fog rolling over a clear lake. Someone called from the back, "And if it doesn't work? What then?" Mia braced herself, fighting the urge to retreat. Then, she pronounced deliberately, we learn. And we try again. That's the beauty of community. We fail, we rise, we connect. We make room for one another. In that moment, something shifted in the atmosphere. The crowd, which had been filled with tension just seconds before, seemed to exhale collectively. The woman's posture softened, her arms uncrossing fully. All right, she finally said, albeit tentatively. Let us give it a chance. But I need to see how this can grow. I want clear goals. If we're doing this, we need metrics, something to hold on to. Mia nodded, a wave of relief washing over her. Yes. We'll strategize, plan it out. This isn't just a whim, it's a commitment. As the crowd began to murmur with renewed energy, the excitement carved out new pathways of connection, and the tall man interjected once more, it's time we put our passion into motion. Let us get together who's in. That sturdy sense of unity began to swell among the attendees. Ideas flew around like confetti, inspiring visions of the future, meals woven with purpose, laughter spilling from shared tables. But just as hope surged again, an unmistakable chill swept back in when someone whispered, you know, even with the right intentions, some may still not want to accept it. What if the community resists? Mia's heart raced. Were they truly ready for this? Could they withstand the challenges ahead? Would their dreams stand against the reality of fear and skepticism? As the crowd buzzed, a knot tightened in her stomach. There was much more at stake than just planning a dinner, and deep down, Mia wondered if she was ready to face the storms that awaited. Would their passion be enough to weather doubts and disbelief? The stakes were high, and the future hung delicately in the balance. Would they sink or swim? What awaited them just beyond the horizon of hope? Mia could feel the energy shifting like tides in the ocean. The crowd, once skeptical and tense, had transformed into a bubbling well of nervous excitement. She glanced around, taking in their eager faces. David was smiling, and even the tall man was nodding. She felt a flicker of hope ignite inside her, even as the doubts still crowded her mind. Okay, everyone, she said, letting enthusiasm dance in her voice. How about we form a planning committee? Get people from different backgrounds, ages, and experiences. Let us make it diverse just like our community. The crowd murmured in agreement, the electricity growing stronger. A woman to Mia's right raised her hand. I can help with the food. A man in the back added, I know a few local musicians. We can have live music. They burst into ideas, each voice adding a layer to the dream. Laughter bubbled into the air, and in that moment, the room echoed with a warmth she hadn't felt before. Was this the beginning? But just as Mia thought they were soaring, an old man with a weathered face, arms crossed tightly, broke the spell. And what if all we get is a mess? His voice was gravelly, each word weighed with years of disappointment. Mia's heart sank. She wanted to fight back, to argue that messes could lead to beautiful moments. But she knew that chasing away the fear wasn't enough, they needed to address it head-on. You're right. It's okay to be worried. Change is scary. But trust me, all of this, she gestured around to her growing group of supporters, is about building connections. What if instead of imagining the worst, we imagine what could go right? What if we create something beautiful together? The old man didn't reply. He just stared at her, searching for a flicker of honesty or maybe something more. A few murmurs echoed in the crowd, and Mia felt the heavy silence pressing down again. Then, finally, the woman who had initially questioned Mia stood again, her voice clear. What if it's more than just a dinner? What if we use this as a way to delve deeper? Talking about the issues we face as a community, sharing our struggles and aspirations? What if we use the food as a metaphor for our stories? The room slowly came alive once more with chatter and idea sharing, every person leaning into the moment, a collective heartbeat rhythmically beating for a brighter future. Mia felt energy washing over her, a refreshing wave that began to sweep away the doubt. "I love that!" Mia exclaimed, her heart swelling. Food sparks conversation. It can bridge gaps. Imagine sharing stories over a warm meal, the laughter blending with the aroma of spices. We can create a space to address our fears and prejudices to understand each other. The excitement swelled as others echoed her sentiments. Ideas bounced around like bouncing balls, but a tiny sliver of doubt still loomed in Mia's mind. It was easy to talk about ideals, but could they turn these visions into reality? "Tomorrow, let us set a time to meet. We can work on organizing the dinner and talk about our stories," David suggested, his enthusiasm infectious. The idea took root immediately, people jotting down notes, sharing contact information. But the old man's voice sliced back through the enthusiasm. "And if all this doesn't work? If we fail to build those connections?" Mia felt her stomach tighten. What if they did fail? What if all their hard work crumbled? "We keep trying," she answered, unwilling to relent. "We lean into the discomfort and continue to fight for connection. Because that's what it means to be a community. To rise, to learn, and to embrace the unknown together." There was a collective pause that held the weight of possibility, every eye locked on Mia. And in that moment of stillness, she realized they were standing on the brink of something monumental. With the planning committee formed and a flicker of courage igniting within her, Mia asked herself one last time, was she truly ready for the heights and depths of this community journey? What awaited them next, as they stepped out into the unknown territory of real change? The next day, the sun rose bright, casting warm golden rays across the streets. Mia woke up with a flutter of excitement and anxiety in her chest. Today, they would begin to bring their shared dream to life. The weight of the challenge loomed over her, but she pushed herself to focus on the possibilities ahead. As she made her way to the community center, Mia spotted familiar faces. People showed up as promised, vibrant and ready to contribute. The atmosphere buzzed with a mix of nervous energy and hope. It felt like a family coming together after years apart, ready to reconnect. David was already there, setting up tables. He spotted her and grinned widely. "Looks like everyone is excited. We have quite a turnout," he said, waving to the group forming outside. Mia smiled back, but her thoughts were racing. What if they all showed up today, and nothing came together? What if the old man's doubts became their reality? She shook her head, trying to dispel the negativity. "Okay, let us get started," she called out, her voice steady despite the tremor of emotion. Once everyone gathered in a circle, she explained their goal. "Today, it's not just about the food. We're here to share ideas, stories, fears, and dreams. We'll create something beautiful together." Hands shot up. A young girl shared her vision for a community garden. An elderly gentleman spoke of his days growing up in a neighborhood that had once thrived. Each story added another thread to the tapestry of their community, weaving together their struggles and hopes with every word spoken. As the minutes turned into hours, laughter rang out, and voices intertwined, some voices louder and others softer, but all passionate and filled with purpose. It felt as though each person there was offering not just their skills but also a piece of their heart. Mia felt her worries start to lift. The old man's skepticism was still echoing in the corners of her mind, but she pushed it aside time and again, focusing instead on the connection forming right in front of her eyes. Just then, the woman who had first raised her hand spoke again. "You know, I've always felt disconnected from my neighbors," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "But today, I feel like we're becoming more than just neighbors, we're becoming something like a family." The room filled with nods and murmurs of agreement. Mia's heart swelled. This was at the moment they were forging connections so deeply that anything felt possible. Yet, as the meeting began to wind down, Mia saw the old man at the back of the room, still with his arms crossed, his eyes sharp. He had stayed silent throughout, and she wondered what he was thinking. Taking a deep breath, she decided to approach him. "What do you think?" she asked, her voice gentle. "Are we on the right path?" For a moment, his gaze held hers intense and searching. Finally, he replied, "You're ambitious, young lady. Hope isn't just a nice word. It's hard work. Do you really think this will change anything?" His question echoed in her mind, and for a moment, she froze. The weight of his words pressed down hard. Could they really spark lasting change? Mia felt overwhelmed but also emboldened. "Yes. I believe it can. None of us can do it alone, but together, we can figure it out. We can build something that matters." The room went silent, the chatter fading away. She felt hope clinging to every fiber of her being. But did they all feel that same weight? As she stood under that hopeful gaze, looking into the eyes of her neighbors, uncertainty burned in her heart. Did everyone believe in this dream? Would they push forward together? Just then, David's voice broke the silence. "Let's take a group photo. Capture this moment. Our first step forward together." Warm smiles spread across the room, and as they huddled closer for the photo, Mia couldn't shake the sense of impending possibility. This was just the beginning, but as the flash burst bright, she wondered, would they all still be smiling after the first setback? Mia couldn't shake the weight of that thought as they disbanded for the day. She watched as excited chatter filled the room, but her insides felt knotted. The image of the old man's critical gaze lingered. He had posed a question that sliced through her optimism. What if their vision didn't hold up in the real world? As she stepped outside into the golden light, David came up beside her. "You did amazing today," he said, his enthusiasm lighting up his face. "People really connected, Mia. Can you feel that vibe?" Mia forced a smile, but the doubt still loomed. "Yeah, I guess so," she replied, glancing back at the community center as the group began to disperse. "But what if the excitement fades? What if we can't keep this going?" "No more what ifs," David said, shaking his head. "We take it one day at a time. By this time next week, we'll have a plan. Just wait and see." She appreciated his unwavering faith, but as the days unfolded, those doubts crept back in, like shadows trailing her every move. The first community meeting after their initial gathering came too quickly, and the turnout was smaller than before. Half the room was filled with hesitation, a mix of faces that showed promise but also uncertainty. As people shared ideas, Mia noticed whispers concerns about funding, logistics, how to turn all these dreams into actual plans. "Mia," a voice called from the back. It was the woman who had suggested the garden. "I love the idea of a community garden, but how will we maintain it? Who will fund the seeds? How do we keep it going?" Others nodded, and the familiar knot of anxiety tightened in Mia's chest. This was the moment she had feared. Would it all unravel as quickly as it had come together? "Maybe," she began, her voice faltering. "We can start small. Just a couple of planters to get going." "But what if it doesn't work?" Another voice chimed in. "What if we can't even keep those alive?" The walls seemed to close in, and Mia felt tears prick her eyes. She was here to inspire, to build courage, but now, doubt and fear loomed like dark clouds overhead. She could see people shifting uncomfortably, unsure of what to do next. Then David stood up, a spark igniting in his eyes. "Guys, remember our first meeting? We laughed, shared, and dreamed together. That has to count for something, right? This is about community supporting each other through thick and thin." Mia could feel a flicker of hope reigniting within her, and as hesitation turned to discussion, she saw people nodding, slowly building momentum. "Let's plan a day for planting," David suggested, looking around the room. "And for the things that don't work, let's turn them into learning experiences. That's how we grow together." With each step toward a new plan, Mia felt the weight lift slightly. There was a spark of faith igniting in the crowd, and she fed off it. Maybe they could coax their dreams to life in stages, with patience. As they wrapped up the meeting, Mia spotted the old man again, lingering at the back with those disapproving arms crossed. But this time, he raised an eyebrow, and maybe, just maybe, the corners of his mouth twitched upward. As Mia left the community center that night, she glanced back at the window reflecting the fading sunlight. The shadows still hovered, but she felt a quiet determination building inside her. Perhaps challenges were just a part of the journey, but as she began to calm, doubt cracked back in. What would happen when they faced the first real setback? Would they rise together or falter? And in that moment, the air felt charged with possibility but heavy with the unspoken reality of uncertainty. Mia stood before the cozy community center, the venue alive with energy and anticipation. Today was the day her heart soared and sank all at once. She had spent weeks preparing, rallying efforts for the community dinner they envisioned. It would be their first grand meal together, a celebration of hope and unity, built on the foundations of shared stories and connections. As she entered, the warmth wrapped around her like a comforting hug. Tables were set, vibrant flowers adorned every corner, and the aroma of simmering dishes wafted through the air. People mingled, laughter bubbling, and Mia felt her anxiety ease a little. David breezed up, a broad smile on his face. "We did it. Look at this place." He gestured to the attendees, who were buzzing with conversation. His excitement was contagious. Mia scanned the room, her heart fluttering. But as she observed familiar faces, doubt still whispered in her ear. Would they truly come together? What if the same old fears crept back in? Just as she pondered, the tall man who had supported her at the last meeting approached. "Mia, I saw how the community rallied behind you. It's beautiful to witness." He clasped her shoulder, and she felt a surge of affirmation. "Yes, and we've all worked so hard," Mia replied, forcing her bravado. "I just hope it turns out as well as we dreamed." "Trust in the process," he encouraged. "This is your spark, a step towards a brighter future. Let it unfold." His words ignited a spark within her. The first guests began to fill the evening air, trickling in one by one. Familiar faces from the community floor flooded her with warmth and support, those who had doubted, those who had embraced. Mia's heart swelled when she caught sight of the little boy who had cheered for her during the last event. He beamed up at her, enthusiasm radiating through his small frame as if he physically carried joy. "Are you ready to eat, Miss Mia?" he asked, a proud tone to his voice. "Absolutely. All of this is for you and everyone else here," she said, kneeling to his height. In that moment, her nerves faded further. As the gathering finally commenced, Mia stood before everyone, her heart pounding. She felt the weight of their hopeful stares, expectation intertwined with vulnerability. "Thank you, everyone. Tonight is about so much more than just food. It's about our collective stories and connection," she began, her voice steady and clear. The chatter hushed, anticipation weaving through the room. "Each dish represents a part of us, a tradition, a flavor, a memory. I hope you all feel the love and passion entwined in each bite." With every spoonful shared, she watched barriers gradually dissolve. As laughter filled the air, conversation sparked around tables. For the first time, it felt like community, it felt like family. A few moments later, as she moved between tables, she heard snippets of heartfelt conversations, a young woman sharing her ambitions, an elderly man recounting tales of resilience. Mia smiled, realizing the encouragement they once sought was becoming a reality. As the night progressed, she glanced toward the entrance, catching the skeptical woman from before. The former wall of judgment was replaced with curiosity, the corners of her lips tugged into an approving smile. "Clearly, you all have woven something beautiful," the woman spoke, her voice commanding yet gentler. She held Mia's gaze with a newfound respect. "You've brought people together, and I can see the impact already." Mia felt a surge of happiness flood her being. Yes. This was proof that hearts and minds could change, that transformation was possible. And as the evening drew closer to its conclusion, they asked for reflections and feedback. Faces who had once whispered skepticism now lit up with hope. Someone proposed hosting monthly dinners to continuously foster connections. Cheers erupted through the hall. Mia's heart soared. They were truly a community by choice now. Standing in the center, the applause washed over her like a wave. It was overwhelming, filling every crevice of her heart with joy. "This is just the beginning," she said, tears of happiness welling in her eyes. "Together, we can keep growing, learning, and sharing." In that moment, she realized all those fears she had carried were slowly becoming echoes. The community was alive with possibility. As she caught David's eye across the room, they exchanged a knowing glance, the same spark igniting in both of them. He understood the depth of the journey they had embarked on: persistence, vulnerability, and bravery through connection. Stepping outside after the gathering, Mia drew a deep breath, flooded with peace. She knew challenges awaited them just around the corner, the path ahead winding with uncertainty. But in that instant, she felt grounded, connected to everyone around her, ready to face whatever came next. This was the moment to embrace change and keep pushing forward, and just like that, Mia was reminded she had found her place, not just within her community, but also within herself. Now, it's your turn to take action. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and support the incredible journey we're all on together. Comment your reactions and feelings about this uplifting ending. And don't wait not even one more second to share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You need to show your support and help more people find their community.